It is 2 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Just want to make sure that folks can hear me okay. Katie, can you respond and let me know if you can hear me okay?
Yes, you're good.
Great. Thanks for being here today, everybody. Today's hearing is about OPRD's exclusion rule updates. This is a rulemaking process, and today's public hearing is a chance to go over those updates that we are proposing and give a chance for questions about the process. We also have some individuals who will join us, who are joining us to help answer any questions specific to the work of the field in the parks, as well as safety. So we'll get to that point in this presentation. We will then switch over to an official public comment section where we will record any public comments that folks may have. So to begin, let me start with my name. I am Helena Kesh, and I am with the Government Relations and Policy Unit. I am with Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, and I am joined by Katie Gauthier, who is assisting with technical support, and a few other individuals. I will allow them to introduce themselves while they are on. Jamin?
Hey, Helena. So, hi, everyone. My name is Jamin Lee. I am our State Parks Emergency Manager with the Safety and Risk Department and Park Ranger for 12 years previously.
Justin?
Good afternoon, Justin Parker. I'm a District Manager with OPRD.
Chris?
Yeah, good afternoon. Chris Havel, Deputy Director, Oregon Parks and Recreation Department.
And Danny, if you could introduce yourself as well.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Danny Padilla. I am also a District Manager for Oregon State Parks.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here. We'll go ahead and continue with the presentation. So the agenda for this presentation will cover the background on why we're proposing to update the exclusion rules, as well as what those rule language looks like that we've put into draft mode. We'll also go over question and answer. So if you have any questions about the process, that would be the time that you would ask myself or the folks on the panel to answer any of those questions. And then we'll have the opportunity to open for public comment. So the background for this rulemaking process is that in general, Oregon State Parks really does strive to ensure that we're providing safe and welcoming recreational spaces for all of our visitors, with a commitment to ensure we're managing, enhancing, and protecting Oregon's natural, scenic, and culturally significant landscapes. If a visitor demonstrates behaviors, issues, or problems that threaten park staff, visitors, and or the natural landscape, the agency may turn to Division 10 General Park Area Rules, General Regulations, or Division 21 General Ocean Shore State Recreation Area Rules to support excluding the visitor for a specific period of time. Now, the proposed rule will update the existing rules that I just mentioned to include a more comprehensive exclusion process, in addition to an appeal process to clarify excluding individuals from Oregon State Parks who commit that state park rule violations or endanger the safety of visitors, staff, or park resources. We want to make sure that the information that is in the rule is clear, understandable by everyone, and folks know why and how we're excluding individuals and how those individuals may request an appeal if they choose to do so, and how that appeal will be processed within the agency. So again, the proposed rule is really just to clean up the existing language and make sure that we're putting in the appeal process clearly and understandably. This next section is where I'll go over the proposed language that we're introducing in this rulemaking process. And I'll just do a high-level overview of the language that we're proposing. And at the end, we can stop if you have any questions about the language that we're using or the process that we're working through. So this is for Oregon Administrative Rule 736-010-0020 on general regulations. Under Section 7, we're stating that a park manager or a department enforcement officer may exclude a person that violates any state park rule from the park property or multiple park properties. We're adding, this is the language to kind of enhance and make it a little more comprehensive. The duration of an exclusion is based on severity of the state park rule violation. In determining the duration of the exclusion, the park manager or a department enforcement officer will consider whether the violation A, affected I, visitor or staff safety, or 1, 2, park resources as defined in OAR 736-010-0015, Section 17, and 3, park operations, or B, involved 1, repeat violation of any state park area rule, or 2, bias crime as provided in Section 11 and Oregon Revised Statute 390.997. Further, B, the enforcement officer shall issue a written exclusion notice. An enforcement officer that is not a peace officer may request the assistance of a peace officer and mental health practitioner or other agency defined in the definition section in delivery of an exclusion. C, exclusion notices shall contain at a minimum A, the date of the issuance, B, the effective dates of the exclusion, C, the citation to each state park rule violation involved in the exclusion, D, notice of consequences of possible criminal trespass should the person fail to comply with the exclusion as provided in Section 13B. E, state park property as defined in OAR 736-010-0015, Section 14, that the person is expelled from throughout the duration of the exclusion. And F, the procedure for filing an appeal of the exclusion. C, the duration of exclusion determined under subsection A shall be based on the rule violation. Enforcement officers must consult with the district manager prior to issuing an exclusion that is more than 90 days. D, a person subject to an exclusion pursuant to this section may appeal the exclusion to the agency on the agency website, by mail, phone, or email. E, to be valid, an appeal submitted under subsection D must include A, a statement for the basis of appeal, and B, the exclusion notice number, and C, contact information of the person requesting the appeal, including email, phone number, or mailing address. F, if any information in paragraphs E, sections A through C is missing, the department will not begin the appeal process until this information is complete. G, an agency review panel shall review valid appeal requests submitted under subsection D. The agency review panel shall determine whether the exclusion is substantiated based on rule and the evidence provided, or unsubstantiated. The agency shall formally respond within 30 calendar days of the appeal request. A, an appeal request for an exclusion for less than 180 days shall be reviewed by an agency review panel within the local area. B, an appeal request for an exclusion for more than 180 days shall be convened by an agency unit outside of park operations. C, the individual may request an in-person or online review during the appeal process. H, during the duration of an appeal, an exclusion, A, shall remain in effect for 1. Oops, let me go back. Voluntary conduct or acts that are detrimental to visitor or staff safety, or action of serious or significant damage to park resources, park operations, or any combination thereof. And 2, unless the exclusion period expires during the appeal process. B, shall be suspended for 1, conduct that is expressive or communicative, including activities such as picketing, demonstrating, leafletting, or delivering a speech, and 2, conduct that is involuntary or unavoidable. C, may be stayed for violations under subsection A, section B(I), section B1, upon a request from the excluded individual. 8, a peace officer may seek compliance from the public with any state park rule. They may order a person who violates one or more state park rules to leave a park property, and may assist in delivery of an exclusion notice under section 7. 9, a peace officer may order a park visitor to leave for up to 72 hours who violates any state park rule, federal, state, county, or city law, or court order from a park property or multiple park properties. And this next section, we did not change anything except for section E under 10. Exclude a person from a park property as provided in section 7. So we're just pointing back to section 7 to make that clear and clean. Furthermore, we just made changes here to add under D, the director or designee may waive an exclusion while a person is performing community service at a park property. And then we removed section 12 as it is a repeat or listed up above from what I just mentioned. So it would be duplicative language. And then for Division 21, this is really a repeat. We just did a complete duplication onto Division 21 under the general ocean shore state recreation area rules so that they mirror each other and say the same thing. We want to make sure that when we're talking about park properties, we're also talking about the area along the ocean shore that the state park has management oversight over. So I won't go over these again because it would just be a duplication. But I'll just scroll through them so you can see that they are the same. And this is where we can pause to just ask some informal questions that you might have about our process. And you can ask that of myself or anybody who introduced themselves in the panel. And then from there, we'll switch over to the official public comment portion. So if you have a question, you'll want to type your name or the question into chat, and then that'll be read out loud. And you'll be invited as a panelist.
Helena, I think that if you have a question, you have to type it into the question and answer feature.
The
chat
Q&A
is disabled, but there's a Q&A feature and you can type a question in there.
Great, thank you. So we'll wait a couple of minutes to see if anybody has any general questions.
I do not see any questions.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next portion.
Oops, sorry, I spoke too soon.
Oh, there we go. We're going back.
The question is, how often are people excluded from state parks?
That's a great question. Would one of our panelists like to answer that question?
Hi, this is Chris, I work in Parks and Recreation Department. In the 2022 calendar year, it was just over 300 exclusions based on visits of about 50 million day use visits, thereabouts.
Okay, no
Maybe-
further questions.
Okay, maybe in between questions here, we could also answer, just going through a lot of the online public comments, maybe I can help clarify. It's a commissioned officer with Oregon State Parks that's been through a professional officer training that's allowed to write an exclusion. And it is for a actual rule violation, usually involving this direct safety of staff or visitors or damage to resources. And this is for Oregon State Parks, not all parks in Oregon. Hopefully that helps clarify.
Thank you, Jamin. Okay, and thank you for that question and the answer. We'll go ahead and proceed to the next section. This is the public comment section, and this is where I have to formally state some language in order to introduce us into this next section. And if you have a formal public comment, then you will raise your hand on the Zoom screen and you'll be invited in as a panelist. But I will go ahead and proceed with the statement that I need to make here. So this public hearing on reservation rules, OAR 736-010-0020 and 736-021-0040. This hearing is now in session and is being recorded to maintain a permanent record. My name is Helena Kesh, and I am the hearing officer. Today is October 30th, 2023, and the time is 2:18 p.m. The purpose of this hearing is to provide an opportunity for public comment on the proposed rule changes to Oregon Administrative Rule 736-010-0020 and 736-021-0040 by the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department regarding updates to the rules for excluding individuals from Oregon State Parks who commit rule violations, such as endangering the safety of visitors and staff. The agency invites comments about whether other options should be considered for achieving the rule's goals while reducing the negative impact on businesses. In addition to presenting oral comments at this hearing, anyone may submit written comments until 5 p.m. on November 3rd, which is the close of the public comment period. Comments received after the close of the public comment period will not be reviewed or considered by the agency unless the agency decides to extend the public comment period for everyone. Send your comments to the public comment mailbox or to the State Parks office. Those addresses are posted at the end of the PowerPoint slide on my screen. OPRD will not respond to questions about this hearing. During this hearing, after the close of the public comment period, staff will prepare a report to the agency, which will be available from the agency upon request and will be presented to the Parks Commission as they consider adoption of these rules. If you have questions as part of your testimony, I would appreciate it if you could state those questions as concerns for the record. Please do not ask questions of those who are making formal comments. To respect each speaker, anyone not presenting has been muted. I ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Again, you may submit written comments up until the close of public comment period. The chat feature can be utilized for process questions, but we ask that any formal public comment be submitted in writing via mail, email, or online. If you would like to provide a comment, please use the raised hand feature or type into chat that you would like to comment. I will call names in the order that I see them. When it is your turn to comment, you will be moved into a presenter role and will need to unmute. This would be the time to raise your hand if you have a public comment. Is there anyone that wishes to comment at this time? Give it one more minute. Okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here and listening to this presentation under the public comment period for the rulemaking of the exclusion rules for Oregon State Parks. The hearing is adjourned. However, as stated earlier, written comments will be accepted until 5 p.m. on November 3rd. The information on the screen shows that where you can submit your online comments, written comments, or email your comments. And again, a reminder that those comments are accepted until November 3rd, until 5 p.m. I want to thank you for your participation.
Great.
All right, that concludes our meeting. Public hearing.
Thank you, Helena.
Thank you.